starting things up. It is peak of the week, Wednesday. Let me make certain that everything is working the way it is supposed to, because unfortunately we've had issues with stuff like this in the past. So just hang on for 1 second here. Welcome to the show. If you've never been here, by the way, this is News 12 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, southeastern United States. And this is us giving you more information in regards to what's happening with the weather out across the southeast U.S. We are again live. This is your opportunity to ask questions. We've got the chat function fired up on Twitch and on YouTube ready to go. So if you have any questions with what's going on with the weather, either locally or other places, just go ahead and say so, and we'll go ahead and hop right into it, because it looks like we're all set up and ready to go here. One last thing, let me get the date taken care of. Unfortunately, I forgot to do that on the YouTube channel, so it is the 24th of July, 1 week left in the month, coming up on August, and more potential for more showers and thunderstorms as we get into the next several days. And if everything works, it is a good possibility that we are going to be seeing some more heat heading our direction, and we've got too much of that as it is. More information about a couple of days ago where we hit the hottest temperature ever collectively in the entire planet. That is exceptionally not good news. I wish we had better, but unfortunately that's about as good as it gets. We did manage to pick up a giant 1/100th of an inch of rain today, even though there were showers all over the place. So we are now behind for the month by about 2.5, give or take, inches, and behind for the year by about 5 2/3 inches, give or take roughly about a half a foot. So that is how much more rain we need to catch up and be equal to what we should be for this time of the year. High temperature today below normal, but a little warmer, back in the mid 80s, upper 80s as well, lower 70s for lows, pretty well close to that out there. But that rainfall is what we need more of, and plenty of it in the near future. Thanks to News 12 viewer Angel Miller from the Harrison area for a view of number 1 and number 2 rainbows being seen from Snow Hill Road around Ottawa. That's our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. And if you've got pictures, please send them in to us at pictures@wdef.com. You can drop them to our website, wdef.com/photos, and you can also go to our social media pages if you'd like to see more about what's going on there. Let's take a look and see, excuse me, what's going on with rainfall. We've got some scattered drips and drizzles for the most part. Showers and just showers right now into North Carolina. Going down into northern Georgia, we've had some heavier showers and trying to get going into thunderstorms over portions of the area close to northern Whitfield and Murray counties in Georgia, moving across the Tennessee line. The heaviest by far has been down across the area of the metro of Atlanta. Let me switch radars here. That'll give us a better idea. The heaviest activity by far, east central Georgia going into southwestern South Carolina. That's the worst of the worst, but Atlanta picking up some pretty heavy rain earlier this evening. We will continue to see more chances of rain across the area tonight. Could even be a rumble of thunder, but I really don't think we're going to be seeing too much of anything else at this time in the way of major problems. Temperatures across the area back into the 70s and 80s right as we go toward about News 12 at 11. Mainly 70s. There were a few 80s showing up there last hour, and that's why I wanted to say something about that. Taking a quick look at traffic, we did have a pretty good slowdown, and we still have a very good slowdown at I-75 southbound at the Bradley Ridge Cut area. If you're familiar with that location, that's where you have the slowdown semi-trailer traffic. Now, we still have no indication as to what's going on from TDOT. There's no indication of any traffic slowdowns because of construction in that area. And as of right now, it just says heavy traffic, so there's little, if anything, really actually happening. But if you are in this area, you may want to think about avoiding it, maybe taking State Highway 64 from Cleveland down to Ottawa. That'll route you around that. Might be a little bit of a ragged way to go, but at least you'll get out of this particular scrum, which is stretching from about, this is the pardon me, this is the south, northbound area going up to the ridge cut. I'm sorry, that was northbound on that. I should have seen that earlier. That, again, going from roughly about the Highway 1145 exit off of Ottawa all the way back to about Bancroft Road. Unfortunately, the bifocals don't really work all that well sometimes. So northbound 75, pardon on that, heading from Cleveland and Ottawa up toward Maryville and around Knoxville, and the 40-75 split up that direction. So could be looking at some problems. There is a traffic sign you can barely see there, so I'm assuming this is a construction-related thing, but TDOT not saying anything specifically about this whatsoever. From downtown Chattanooga on the Bailey's Heating and Air camera, we've got some ragged clouds out there, and we'll continue to see the potential of some of those clouds sticking around, but no problems with traffic downtown. 153 and 64 on the Plainview Outdoor Advertising camera. Everything moving along quite nicely here, and that usual traffic scrum thanks to construction, if we have that there. 75 north going toward 24 west, that is construction traffic, because right over on the left hand side of the screen, that is where we usually have a decent amount of construction, very heavy bridge work construction over multiple lanes. So 75 north coming out of Georgia, that is where we're seeing the worst of the worst activity for right now. What we also have is, again, some pretty murky conditions out there. Numbers back in the high 70s. That's about as cool as it has gotten in the last few hours. And humidity at 82%, which is giving us a heat index even after the sun has gone down in the lower 80s. So we are looking at some pretty ugly conditions out there. Air you can wear, as I heard it called back in Memphis, and I do not doubt that. Time to stay back in the air conditioning. Dying stationary front turning into a little bit of a cold front for right now. That is kind of wandering its way back and forth across the southeast U.S. Another cold front on its way will be moving a ton of dry air just north of us. Now, that may reduce our chances of rainfall into the next several days, but we will still have chances of rain thanks to all this warm, moist air down toward the Gulf of Mexico. So we will be seeing that potential of more showers and thunderstorms out there. But if the air is dry enough, and this is where the if comes into play, we may see the potential of less rainfall, more sunshine with the clouds parting with that drier air coming on through, and that means we may see some warmer temperatures. Emphasis on the word some. I do not see anything in the way of anything involving a huge heat wave coming up. Pardon Sylvester the Spider sitting up there trying to help make the world a better place by getting rid of more mosquitoes in the area. Pardon to all the arachnophobes that I did not point that out sooner. Temperatures, again, patchy fog overnight, not out of the question, and then higher 80s to lower 90s as we go toward the end of the weekend and into next week. Again, that's about normal for this time of the year, roughly 90, 91 degrees. We will continue to see more chances of showers and thunderstorms all the way through the period, and that is where, again, we see the potential for problems for outdoor activities. Now, for Wednesday of next week, that is the last day of July, the 31st, and then going into August next Thursday. Temperatures appear to be kind of holding steady in the high 80s to lower 90s. So, yes, hotter. Not exactly looking at, again, blazing heat coming on through, which is definitely some good news. The short-term forecast keeps us in, again, just a little bit above normal. Not by much, but starting to increase that by just a little bit. And the latest update from the Climate Prediction Center for the rest of July and early to mid-August is putting us at a much higher risk for hotter temperatures. Now, most of that's going to be over the Blue Ridge, the Shenandoah, back into the Appalachians, but for right now, that is where we could see some of the hottest conditions right nearby us, and that is where we could get some decently hot numbers all the way on through, and that could be a bit of a problem for us. It's wish we had better news as to what was going on. Unfortunately, as we went from Sunday into Monday, of this last week, agencies like the European Center for Meteorological Weather Forecasting, or Medium Range Weather Forecasting, from EU Copernicus, talked about this on social media earlier on, about how this last Monday, the 22nd, we hit 17 overall daily global surface air temperature of 17.15 Celsius. That equals out to, again, about 62 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere in there. But the important thing is the daily global average, the whole Earth, the whole enchilada, has been seeing this. The lines that you see here all bunched together from 1990 through about 2022 is continuing each year to pile a new line on top of the old lines, and they keep going upwards. So as we went into Monday, the temperature of the globe has gone upwards. So the last hottest number we had was 17.08 Celsius, July 6th, 2023. We have now exceeded that, 17.15 degrees Celsius, as of Monday the 22nd. That means our globe is continuing, as long as those lines are going above the old ones and continuing to go up on the y-axis, we're going to continue to see hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter conditions. This is climate change in action. This is, pardon me, this, again, I should have said, this is human-induced, fossil fuel-driven climate change in action. This is what it is all about. I wish I could say it's getting better or that it's worse elsewhere. This is our entire home in space, continuing to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And this is what we all need to be paying attention to learn the science, to talk to our elected officials who should have some modicum of science on board already. But a lot of the MBAs and the law degrees in Congress, some of them don't have any inkling of what's going on when it comes to science. A lot of them don't care about that, or hold some very outdated, poisonous views when it comes to our climate and our home in space, saying that it's a normal cycle, it's all normal, we don't have to worry about it. We do have to worry about it. It's our job as humans to put leaders in our elected halls and offices to make the laws that will keep us safe. Well, right now, we have a lot of people in charge who are not caring about what is happening. Not all of them, but we as voters and the electorate need to make certain that our leaders know about this, care about this, and are willing to do something about this. And this right here is a very, very, very bad sign. So I wish I had better news on this. But if you want to check this out for yourself, search EU Copernicus or ECMWF for information about the daily global surface air temperature. There are plenty of people out there talking about this and why this is important, so please take a look at that and see what exactly is going on. Into the tropics, no good news here because we have a disturbance heading for Hawaii, less than 10% chance of anything really happening here. We also have Tropical Storm Bud southwest of Baja, and that also does not look to be a threat at this time. The activity here is a good possibility that we are going to see areas into the Atlantic waking up in the next several days and a couple of weeks. As we go from July into August, we're seeing, again, some very healthy waves of energy coming in from off the Sahel and Western Africa, south of the Sahara. So these could be our next storms, depending on what happens. What we're seeing at this time, and this is the way it looks for right now, the Sahara is sending a ton of dust over the Atlantic that, again, is blocking out the sunshine and keeping things a little bit less conducive for storm development. But look right here, the sand and the dust thickest over mid-Atlantic, just northeast of South America. We are now seeing less sand and dust here, with that going back to the north across areas around Morocco, back toward around the area of Spain and the entrance to the Mediterranean. So those storms making their way off of Africa they might have the opportunity to develop into something. And if they strengthen and make their way all the way across the Atlantic, this is what is waiting for them. Any temperature over 80 degrees is considered to be very warm waters, and exactly what these areas of low pressure need to develop very quickly. So again, somewhere in the next, say, 10 to 14 days, it is possible that, according to what we've been hearing on a lot of social media chatter from the experts out there, they're showing the best potential for activity here first. And that, again, could begin to develop more storms over this area of the Atlantic, from Cuba all the way back to mid-Atlantic Ocean. And that could spell trouble, especially going over those areas of warmer water, which means that if you're planning a trip to any beach, any ocean-going vacation, East Coast, Gulf Coast, Key West, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Mexican coastline, the Central American coastline around the Caribbean, the Bay of Campeche, anything like that, you need to be weather aware, because somewhere in this area or just after that, we could be looking at a big ramp up in activity. If you're taking vacation anywhere out that direction, any of those locations, anywhere around this area of the planet, you're going to need to be weather aware, and you're going to need to be flexible with your vacation or your travel plans, because this could get ugly very quickly. Remember, we've only had 3 storms so far, and that's it. We could have a lot more. We are still looking at the potential of a very busy rest of the season, and tonight, the 24th of July, we are only a month and 24 days into the entire season. We don't even peak on hurricane season until September the 10th. We've got a long way to go, and a lot of problems could crop up in the semi-near future. So please be weather aware and keep it tuned to News 12 for more information on that. All right, quick check of some very neat science. If you'd like to give this a try, this is starting tomorrow. If you're watching on Thursday, it starts today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday the 25th. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, you may have seen the logo around from time to time. You may also have heard of some political machinations that some have said that NOAA is outdated. They only talk about climate change, and if we get rid of NOAA and install a privatized weather bureau, that will stop the chatter about climate change, and we don't have to worry about that anymore because they think it's fake anyway. That is one of the most short-sighted, unscientific attitudes I have ever heard of in my entire life, and NOAA does a lot more than just study climate change, which is happening, and humans are causing it, period, end of sentence. This is something to take a look at about what else NOAA does. And again, the opportunity to look live from a remote operated vehicle, 30-minute events, your opportunity to ask questions of the scientists that study the oceans. Particularly, they're going to be looking at deep sea habitats that were affected by the Deepwater Horizon oil drilling facility, and what that is still doing to the areas, the biomes, the habitat areas of the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of that oil is still around. It is still causing problems. Drawing that oil up out of the undersea is not any good for anybody. It's time to follow the hashtag keep it in the ground when it comes to dirty, polluting energy sources. We need to concentrate more on green, renewable energy sources, but this is going to be an opportunity to take a look at what Deepwater Horizon did to the Gulf of Mexico. Tomorrow's topic is going to be about invasive species, or in this case, lionfish, which are poisonous, don't help out an environment. They are very invasive. They take over, and that can cause problems for an environment in the undersea area. On Sunday, the 28th, the topic will be life at sea. Monday, the 29th, Twilight Tech ROVs, remote operated vehicles. Good opportunity to learn about the technology there. Life in the deep sea starting Friday, the 2nd. At 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday the 3rd at 11 a.m., diving and landers that go into the ocean and drop down toward the ocean floor to study flora and fauna out there. And Monday the 5th of August, 6 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be about girl power, about women and girls getting into science, and that is really cool to be able to see more girls getting involved in science-related activities, especially this, studying our oceans and helping people understand how things like crude oil drilled from underneath the sea floor and spilled and polluted at thousands of gallons per day can affect life in the ocean. I remember collecting tar balls on the beach of Orange Beach in Alabama way back when. I had a collection of those back when I was in Memphis. I don't know what happened to them, but they're around somewhere. And that, again, was a couple of years after Deepwater Horizon. So want to know more about what NOAA does? Golden opportunity. Starting Thursday the 25th and going through Monday the 5th of August, your opportunity to learn a lot more about what NOAA does and how our tax dollars, yours and mine, go to pay for a lot of this research, which keeps us safe, keeps us knowledgeable, helps to study things like fishery behavior and shipping channels and severe weather detection and prediction. All of that is what NOAA does, including looking at what the ocean does to help everybody on the surface and even under the water. So again, something to take a look at there. I really hope you take advantage of that because that is a really cool option there. Coming up next weekend, if you have the opportunity, the Barnard Astronomical Society will be holding a star party, weather dependent. Again, that depends on whether or not we have rain and clouds and stuff like that. So if we have that, they'll postpone it. You want to know more about that and getting your kids introduced to the science of astronomy, they'll have the telescopes and the binoculars at the Cloudland Canyon State Park disc golf area in Rising Fawn, Georgia. And that'll be again Saturday, August 3rd, 8:30 to 11 p.m. So thank you, Barnard Astronomical Society, for doing something like this and helping people learn a little bit more about how cool the universe is, or in fact the multiverse, if that's the way that it works. All right, our question for the day for our friendinroofing.com weather poll for Wednesday: Chattanooga and the Tennessee River Valley belong to which alley of tornadic weather? I grew up in Kansas, which is part of Tornado Alley, but does that encompass the rest of the country or a good portion of it? So Tornado Alley, Hoosier Alley, Dixie Alley, and Carolina Alley. Which one of these does it belong to? 77% of you and my co-anchor Andrew Harrison said Dixie Alley, and that is the correct answer. These are areas where you may have a lot more tornadoes happening than in usual locations. It's been debated recently about the fact that Dixie Alley may be growing in size and kind of shifting to the east-southeast a little bit, given the amount of activity in Alabama, southern Mississippi, and even back into parts of Georgia and southern Tennessee. So that's kind of interesting to take a look at there. If you'd like to vote in one of our polls, we'll have a brand new one coming up at midnight for our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day. Go to wdef.com/vote now to make your choice, or go to, again, our QR code that you can see here on the screen and your opportunity to vote in our poll, and thank you very much for doing so. That whole NOAA education thing, they're available on social media at NOAA Education, and also, again, online from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration on their Ocean Explorer website and also through their education program. NOAA does so much that if you don't take a look at it in general and over a wide area of just what they're involved in and how incredibly cool it is of what they do and how they do it, you really, if you're just calling for their demise and to be replaced by a for-profit weather organization, I'm not going to say their name, but again, this is something that, again, is very short-sighted for what NOAA does in many locations. The National Hurricane Center, the National Weather Service, studying the effect of debris on the ocean, fisheries, and how we can research sustainable food practices, studying the information that come in from satellites and how that data we can use to study our own planet. Marine and aviation studies, looking at what goes on to keep planes safe in the air, ships safe in their channels, and to use that data out there to find out more. Charting information, making the ocean and the airlanes safer, good opportunity to more there, and setting off sanctuaries, what we can do to help preserve ocean life and the ocean environment. That's just a small amount of what NOAA does. So I beg you, take a look before you start cheering on NOAA's cutting out. If sometime in the next administration becomes a political reality, there's a lot more to NOAA than you may think, and you really should take a look at what is being done out there. So please give it a look and see what is going on. Think that should just about do it. We've been on for about 25 minutes. Tropics forecast, more rain out there for tonight. And we did the weather picture, so I think we're decently good on that. So we'll probably just go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. Again, if you've got the opportunity to learn more about what is happening out there, we got tons of information on our website at wdef.com/weather. That's also where our main forecast is, so drop by and find out more. Again, planning ahead with what's coming up with the heat next week and into August. Now's the time to start getting ready. Plan ahead to make certain that you've got plenty to drink out there, some cold water to replace what your body sweats away, especially if you have to work or exercise outdoors. Let's make certain that we're all paying attention to keeping ourselves safe and making certain that we know more about what the weather's doing before we step out into the heat and humidity. Please make certain you're keeping an eye on the people you're working or exercising with. Let's keep everybody safe. Let's keep an eye on what is happening out there, and again, be weather aware, especially where the tropics are concerned, because we have a lot of stuff going on that we really do need to be paying attention to on so many fronts. So again, and no weather pun intended there. We'll continue to monitor again here for anything changing where it comes to heat or severe weather or anything else. And of course, you can keep up to date with what's going on. Bottom of the screen, our website, wdef.com/weather, which if you take a look in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you can see our 7-day forecast. That comes from our website as well through the computers we work on here. So we have your forecast readily available for you at just about any point in time. If you'd like to contact me, email address right there, aonic@wdef.com. And if you like what you see, if you don't like what you see, if you want to see more of something, less of something, give us a shout. We'd love to know what would draw you back here to keep watching us, our weather blog, the exclusive video weather blog in Chattanooga, Tennessee. As far as I know, no other TV station here is doing this. Your opportunity to ask questions and be involved with what's going on with the weather, and we're glad to help you stay informed. That's what we do. We depend on you as viewers to let us know what you see going on out there. So if there's anything you'd like to take a look at more of on our weather blog, please say so. We need emails, phone calls, anything like that. Our psychic powers are somewhat below par, so doubtful we're going to be able to pick up on those brain waves. So please drop us a line and say, I'd like to see X, Y, or Z, and we'll consider putting it on or cutting things out as per necessary. We'll see what happens. All right, that should do it for Wednesday night, peak of the week, the 24th, 1 week left in July. Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early on Thursday morning starting at 5 a.m. And, of course, I'll be back with more weather overtime coming up tomorrow at about 9:45, 10 o'clock. Andrew Harrison's got to record some stuff in the studio, so we might start a little bit late as we go into Thursday evening. That's it for our exclusive video weather blog, Weather Overtime for Wednesday. Thanks for joining us, and again, stay tuned for Chip Chapman bright and early on Thursday morning.